Resistance and Rebellion, again linked to the Yale lecture. How the Americans gradually then escalate their resistance to the end of salutary neglect and their responses to the British government in trying to more directly intervene in the life of the American colonies. So we move through the Virginia Resolves to the Stamp Act Congress. So the first time that the Americans convened together, rather than be disunited, they moved towards united in their stance against the British. The Sons of Liberty, the group that starts to emerge as the common voice of the American people. Who were they and what were they motivated by? How did they protest? What did they do? There are going to be different ways in which the Americans obviously would resist the British. Why then did the British repeal the Stamp Acts in 1766? But then what was the Declaratory Act? What was significant about this declaration of parliamentary supremacy? Consequently, the Stamp Act being repealed by the Townshend Acts, how was it different? What principles were it? Moving on, why were the Townshend Acts resisted as well? And moving forward then to the general standoff between the British and the Americans, the British insisting through the Declaratory Act that they had the right to pass legislation for the colonies and, if needs be, tax, but the American resistance to this, no taxation without representation, and the consequent boycott of British goods by the Americans, and of course consequently the economic consequences of a trade war and a standoff with Britain, leading to the Boston Massacre, famously engraved by Paul Revere, which became the defining image of the Boston Massacre.